Okay, so normally when I do these AEW Dynamite reviews, I start from the beginning and work my way through the entire show. Unless, of course, it's something major that happens on the show that I gotta talk about. Something so exciting that I gotta just knock out the way immediately. So this time, I'm gonna start with the main event segment and just talk about whatever tickles my fancy. But I do gotta talk about this. So the whole entire show was built around, Bryan Danielson. He just won the AEW Championship at All In London, and the big main event segment was Bryan Danielson addressing his future. And he comes out, he's addressing the people, he's talking to the fans, and a lot of people were thinking that this was going to go either one or two ways. The first way being that, Bryan Danielson says, you know what, I finally did it. I finally won the AEW Championship. And now I'm just going to relinquish it and retire and ride off into the sunset. But the second way was the way I was thinking was going to happen and what actually did happen. And that was, Bryan Danielson coming out and saying that he's going to keep fighting until somebody actually beats him for the title. And on top of all that, he addresses the fact that, that he's been working without a contract since August 1st. That's when his contract expired. He's going to be needing neck surgery soon. He actually is ready to retire and go home and be a family man and spend time with his children and his wife and all that. But of course, it's true Bryan Danielson fashion. And he says that, he's going to keep fighting and keep defending the title until someone can actually beat him for it. And whenever he does lose the title, that's when he'll officially, hang up the tights, hang up the kick pads, hang up the boots, and ride off into the sunset and be a family man. And then, he goes full John Cena open challenge and says, there's a whole bunch of talented wrestlers in the back, a whole bunch of young talented wrestlers in the back. And he says that All In or All Out is like 2 weeks away. So first come, first serve. If you want some, come get some. And me personally, I'm thinking, all right, so this is when Christian Cage comes up and, issues his challenge, but that wasn't the case. It's because we look at the Contron and we see none other than the scapegoat Jack Perry. And I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you guys. I have no idea what Jack Perry was saying because I was at the crib, yelling and screaming like, "Oh my God, why Jack Perry? Why is this happening to me? Why, why God, why?" I'm pretty much crashing out because of all people to challenge for the AEW Championship, of all people to be Bryan Danielson's first official challenge for the AEW Championship, is Jack Perry. And he's backstage, he's saying words, and then Jack Perry comes out of nowhere and attacks Bryan Danielson. He hits him with the glass jaw knee strike, and then he proceeds to hold up both the TNT and AEW championships, and that's how Dynamite goes off the air. And I'm thinking, what, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe, I'm just being one of those wrestling fans that I don't want to be. Maybe if I just check online, if I check Twitter, maybe everyone else is, excited about this. Maybe everyone else is, thrilled about seeing Jack Perry. And I was wrong because everyone was feeling the exact same way I was feeling. There's not too many people that are really excited about seeing Jack Perry wrestle for the AEW Championship. And those people that are excited for it, they're saying things like, well, All Out is going to be in Chicago. And, Jack Perry, he's going to get heat there because of the real glass and CM Punk. And my mentality is like, how long is Jack Perry going to hold on to that? Like, how long is Jack Perry going to hold on to the fact that, him and CM Punk got into an altercation last year at All In, and he got choked out, and he had to be benched in New Japan, and blah, blah, blah. How long is he going to hold on to that? When is he going to actually, like, move forward with this scapegoat gimmick and, evolve it and grow it and whatnot? It doesn't look like anytime soon because he's going back to Chicago. He's going to get the heat, brother. And, maybe he'll use real glass and all this crap, man. I'm like, bro, I've never really been a Jack Perry hater. I've seen, the upside in Jack Perry. He's young. He's a good-looking guy and whatnot. I've never really seen him as a main event guy. But, what he's doing with the TNT Championship, that's cool. You're staying in your own lane. You're doing your thing. But now you're swerving into the lane of being AEW champion, and I'm not really sure how to feel about that. I don't know, man. I'm not really feeling this whole main event angle. I'm really hoping and begging and praying and pleading with the wrestling guys that Bryan Danielson wins, and Bryan Danielson moves on to the next op. But whoo boy, I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not feeling this whole Jack Perry main event angle. I'm not feeling Jack Perry going after the AEW championship. I'm not feeling it. But if you guys feel any different, let me know in the comment section. But as far as the rest of AEW goes, it actually started off with the returning Jon Moxley. He's coming out to his New Japan theme. He's not coming out to the Wild thing. And I was at home pumping my fist because I like Jon Moxley. I like the presentation of Jon Moxley. But it's kind of hard to, get into him being this badass that, beats people up and makes them bleed and bleeds himself. While the whole crowd singing "Wow" thing, I'm like, it's just a different vibe when he comes out to that New Japan theme. It just feels like names are gonna be taken and asses are gonna be kicked, and that's the vibe I got, man. He's just coming out with a different type of swagger, and the thing that was kind of making me laugh a little bit was the commentary was acting like they've never heard his New Japan theme before. I'm like, he's come out to different events, different AEW events with his New Japan thing, but minor nitpick. So Jon Moxley's coming out, he's talking, but he's being very cryptic about what he's saying. He puts that out that he wants a piece of Darby Allin, and then he says that this company doesn't belong to you anymore. He's pointing the finger at Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone's like, dude, I just work here. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, man, I'm like, yo, what's going on with Jon Moxley? It's looking like he's turning heel. I don't know what's going to go down with him in the Blackpool Combat Club because, Pac and them, they're the trio champion. Bryan Danielson's the AEW champion. But it looks like Jon Moxley is going his own path. You can see him later in the show where he beats up one of the backstage dudes. And then this redheaded woman comes out of nowhere, and I'm thinking, I know that ain't Becky Lynch. But it wasn't. It was actually Marina Shafir. And a lot of people were thinking, well, why? Well, that's a kind of a random pairing. I didn't think that because I know I've heard Jon Moxley say in different interviews how much he would like to actually work with Marina Shafir. So this isn't really surprising. So who knows what this new direction is with Jon Moxley? Who knows what he has cooking up? Somebody said this is looking like AEW Underground. Some people were hinting that Shane McMahon is coming through. He's going to link up with Jon Moxley. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. But we're just going to let it play out. We're just going to let it see what happens. We're going to let it do what it do. One thing I don't want to do is watch the learning tree. But that's something we can't escape. Because after this, we had the collaboration talking, the backstage with Hook. And they're saying words. Mark Briscoe, he's like one of the best promos ever, so he always makes me happy and smile. But it's the fact that the collaboration is going to be wrestling the learning tree later. But before we get to that, we see that Willow Nightingale officially lays out the challenge to to Chris Statlander, and that All Out is going to be a Chicago street fight between Willow and Chris. So that should be a banger right there. But like I said, we got the learning tree, and later in the show we saw the learning tree talking to Roderick Strong. Roddy's talking to Chris Jericho, saying that he wants to get Kyle O'Reilly away from the conglomeration, especially Orange Cassidy. Chris Jericho is still holding on to the fact that Orange Cassidy messed up his jacket 3 years ago or whatever. Blah blah blah. There was an all-star 8-man tag team match. I didn't care about this at all. I wasn't paying attention. Thing I did catch though was the fact that Hook made Roderick Strong tap out, and that isn't a problem except for the fact that Roderick Strong's foot was on the rope, and that normally should be a ring break or whatever, and the referee stepped over Roderick Strong's foot and rang the bell to end the match. I'm like, I know you saw that man's foot on the rope. You literally stepped over his foot to let the timekeeper know that the match is over. I'm like, there's no way y'all could be this dumb, right? There's no way. But after the match, you have the Undisputed Kingdom come out. They're beating up Hook. And it's looking like Roderick Strong is going to be going after the FTW Championship. And honestly, I wouldn't mind. I honestly don't care about the FTW Championship. Me personally, I wouldn't I was cheering for Hook to lose his match against Chris Jericho, because if he would have lost, that we wouldn't be dealing with any of this right now. Hook would be out of the Jericho Vortex, because that was the conditions of the match. But it is what it is, people. We still got to deal with this BS. And now Roderick Strong is in the Jericho Vortex as well, and there's no escaping Jericho. So next up, we have the return of Jamie Hayter. She's wrestling Harley Cameron, and I feel like the match it could have been a little bit shorter. It should have been a squash match, but it is what it is. Jamie Hayter won her first match back in like 50 million years. It's good to see Jamie Hayter back. One thing I forgot to talk about was the fact that you had Hangman Adam Page wrestling Tomohiro Ishii. And me personally, this is another match that I felt went a little bit too long. I get it because Ishii is a legend, he's a New Japan legend and all that, but I don't really care to see Ishii wrestle. I know that's blasphemous to say, wrestling fans are going like, yo, you should have said that about Ishii. I don't care, man. The thing I did care about was the aftermath of what happened. Hangman ended up getting the win. He's celebrating, and then next thing you hear is whose house? Swerve's house. Swerve comes out, and he's getting into Hangman's face. He's saying that he's pissed off. He should slap the taste out of his mouth for costing him the AEW championship. And Swerve pretty much lays out the challenge, all out. Hangman, Swerve, steel cage match. And Hangman's like, yo, listen, man, you ruined my life. Man, everything was going good until you busted in and broke into my family's house and just ruined everything. And Swerve was like, oh, tough break, kid. Because, Hangman has been obsessing with Swerve, while Swerve has been obsessing with being the guy in AEW, or being the best wrestler in the world, with being the AEW champion. And Swerve has been doing his thing, while Hangman has just been locked in on Swerve. He can't really do anything else. He's been losing. He couldn't win the Owen Hart tournament. He couldn't win at Blood and Guts. He couldn't win the Casino Gauntlet match. Swerve was like, yo, you're a big loser, man. And at All Out, I'm gonna prove it again. It's gonna be a steel cage match. Tony Khan made it official. Right now, All Out is looking really lit, man. With 2 weeks build, you can't get any better than that. You already have Pac versus Will Ospreay. You have Hangman versus Swerve. And another match that was made official, MJF versus Daniel Garcia. MJF is in the middle of the ring. He's crying about the fact that he lost the American Championship. He's saying, that American gimmick sucked anyway. I don't even want to claim being from America. The only place I want to be from is Plainview, Long Island, which I don't know why, because Long Island sucks. But that's another story for another day. And MJF is running down Daniel Garcia. He says, if Daniel Garcia was here right now, I'll beat the crap out of him. But Daniel Garcia pulls up and beats the crap out of MJF. And they fight and they punch for a little bit. And it's looking like Daniel Garcia is going to hit the pile driver on MJF. But security and the officials are breaking it up. And, Daniel Garcia says that you ruined my life, MJF. And I'm going to drop you on your head at All Out. And the match is made official. That's another match. So we already have 4 matches announced for All Out. So yeah, man, All Out has been looking pretty good. Looking like a pretty solid show so far with only 2 weeks build. So you can't really beat that at all. So next up, we had a pretty funny segment. You have Mercedes Moné celebrating the fact that she's still the TBS champion. Private Party pulls up. Isaiah Cassidy shoots a shot at Mercedes Moné. He's like, y'all know you're single. But Okada comes out of nowhere. He's blocking, certified cock block. But yeah. And then the segment ends with Okada doing the Mercedes Moné dance. It was a pretty funny segment. But what I'm hoping this leads to is Private Party getting a shot at those AEW tag team titles. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because you had the grizzled young veterans coming out, man. They're pulling up on the Young Bucks. They're saying they're putting the whole tag team division on notice. They're coming after those tag team titles. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's going to be FTR, the Young Bucks, it doesn't matter. And this Friday on the Collision, they're going to be wrestling the Outrunners, so that should be a pretty entertaining match. After this, we have a celebration, what was supposed to be a celebration. Mariah May comes out and says that the celebration is postponed. She's not going to do it in Champaign, Illinois, because they all suck and they don't deserve to see Mariah May. And, you know, she's out there looking good. That's it. That was pretty much the segment. Yeah. And then after this, we had the debuting Ricochet in his first ever AEW Dynamite match against Kyle Fletcher. And when this match was announced, I was really excited for it. And you know, the match was okay. It could have been a little bit better, but for what it was worth, it was alright. Nothing really to write home about. The match we're really waiting to see is Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, because Ricochet ended up getting the win. Will Ospreay comes out and it's looking like they're gonna do something, but Pac's like, nah. See, in 2 weeks it's gonna be Pac versus Will Ospreay. Pac says he actually hits Will Ospreay with a poison Rana out of nowhere, and then Pac's like, listen, Billy Boy, All Out, that title's come home with me, and Ricochet, you gotta get to the back of the line with your big bald head and your goofy looking tattoos, you dumb man, you. So that was pretty much this episode of Dynamite, man. The aftermath of All In. All In was a phenomenal show, and as far as this follow-up show from Dynamite, it was what it was, man. You had a couple good segments. You had the returning Jon Moxley. You have the MJF Daniel Garcia segment. Swerve versus Hangman was awesome. Outside of that, man, Dynamite, it was what it was. But yeah, man, hopefully they can pick it up, because you have one more episode of Dynamite before All Out. So hopefully next week they can knock it out of the park. But we just gotta wait and see. But with that being said, guys, what did you think of this week's episode of Dynamite? What do you think about about Jack Dan Perry challenging for the AEW Championship? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Bees, I'm out. Peace.